Think pink. Think pink when you shop for summer clothes. Think pink. Think pink if you want that kelp that shows. Red is dead, blue is through, green's obscene, brown's taboo, and there is not the slightest excuse for plum abuse or chartreuse.
Welcome, gorgeous. I've been waiting all afternoon. It's actually quite late in the afternoon here now for the next door neighbour's dog to stop barking. Unfortunately, even my attempt to throw some schmackos over the fence isn't actually helping me. So I'm going to do my level best to see if I can record this one anyway, and hopefully it won't be too annoying. It's kind of weird because it's the beginning of August and yet I'm finding that my spring flowers are starting to come up, and the daffodil that I saw in the garden just reminded me of what it was like when we decided to actually recreate our life. That sometimes, you know, we've got all of this base of who we are. It's like the bulb under the ground, and then you get fed the right sort of stuff, and at the right time out you pop and you know, bloom into something that's really beautiful. A lot of people go through experiences in their lives when they want to re-examine themselves. Who are they really? And a lot of clients, I know when I see them, talk about the fact that sometimes they don't know. If you can't stand in front of the mirror and actually say that you truly like who you are, then probably it's because who you are tends to be reflected back at you from the people around you. One of the things I talk about in a sense of self often looks at, are you actually just an empty vessel who reflects back what the people around you see? So I suppose when we start to think about that, it's like, as a person, are you actually able to be really clear on what you like, the things that make you passionate, your values, your sense of moral perspective, and how you see life and what's important to you? A lot of people tend to just see themselves as other people see them. And this becomes problematic, of course, if the people who are closest to you end up leaving for some reason. In relationships end, or, you know, sometimes through death or some level of loss. Or you might have close friends who move away and you don't kind of see them as much as you used to. That can really create this sense of emptiness, because without that person there, you don't actually get any good picture of who you are. In fact, there feels often just a sense of being empty. And one of the things that kind of depicts this is when people give you certain feedback, and, you know, you feel the weight of their feedback kind of as if it really, you know, tears your heart out or kicks you in the guts. The reality is, if you've got a really good sense of self, then when that person gives you that level of feedback, if you know that what they're saying has no truth to it, it doesn't actually hurt that much. You can kind of walk away from that interaction and go, that's an interesting perspective that that person has about me, but I actually don't see myself that way. Whereas if you find people give you feedback, and I see this a lot in work environments, for example, somebody says something to you that they've critiqued something about something that you've done, and that real kind of demoralizing feel that, you know, you've been hurt. And it's really interesting, because if you had a good sense of who you are, you would either acknowledge that maybe, you know, there may have been an error of judgment in something that you did, or if it wasn't that sort of, you had a good, clear perspective on who you were, their view of you is actually what you take away from that, and you see that they see that you're wanting, and so you believe that actually you must be wanting. It's an interesting space. Can you actually look in the mirror? And flaws aside, I mean, physical flaws, as we get older, we all don't like what we see necessarily, and sometimes physically we don't like certain parts about ourselves, but do you like who you are? If you can't look in the mirror and say that you truly like who you are, you probably need to do some work. And you need to understand that the people around you are reflecting things back to you. And if you don't feel really good right now, it's probably because the people around you aren't giving you a whole lot of nice stuff. Sometimes when you end up in very hostile relationships, your sense of self completely erodes and deteriorates. But underneath it all, you're still a great, wonderful, supportive human being. And for you to be able to truly believe that about yourself is what's important. So, I hope you liked my musing this week. When you actually see this video, I'm going to be on a jet plane. Unfortunately, I do know when I'll be back again. I'm off to the US for nearly 3 weeks. So, while I'm there, I will be vlogging. But, from the iPhone, let's see how good that comes up. And, yeah, the neighbour's dog started up again. So, I might say, see you later.
Pink for cheeks and pink at your lips, pink for shirts and all of your slips, just a touch of pink at your knees, and if you please, what? Pink chemise.